Welcome to a new episode of Cheaters Always Cheat. Like, subscribe, and share to stay connected.
I, 34M, met her online about 10 years ago during a 52 books in 52 weeks reading challenge. She, 36F, had posted that she was going through chemo radiation for stage IV cancer. I decided to organize a care package and send it to her. I wasn't romantically interested in her at that time, and I didn't even know what she looked like. A couple of days later, she messaged me expressing how she cried when she saw the package on her doorstep. "No one has ever done something so thoughtful for me before," she said. We continued exchanging messages and developed a friendship based on our shared love for books. Over time, our friendship turned into a long-distance relationship. I flew to Texas to visit her, and she flew to Pennsylvania to visit me. We kept going back and forth like that. In 2015, she made the decision to permanently move to Pennsylvania. Since she was in a tough financial situation, I made a down payment on a house. Later, after 11 months, I proposed to her, and the following year, we got married. She had a long list of mental health issues that I knew about, but I didn't fully grasp how severe they were until we started living together. However, I was fully committed to her by that point. When I commit, it's for life, just like penguins. I was there for her during the good times, the bad times, and everything in between for the next 7 years. As our marriage was coming to an end, she was actually at the highest point in her life. She had managed to get her psychiatric problems under control, and her career was flourishing as she worked from home and made more money than ever before. In court documents, she later claimed that I had forced her to take that job so I could control her. The person she was cheating on me with lived in New York, and she used the excuse of needing to visit the company's office there as a cover to see him for at least 2 years. In the 7 years we lived together, we only had one fight. It happened during our honeymoon in Key West, Florida, when she got upset because I called to check on my parents. We made up, and she eventually understood that my parents are really important to me, so I continued to call them daily, which didn't bother her. Since we didn't have children and both had successful careers, there weren't many other things to argue about. From the outside, our marriage seemed good. But in reality, it was a one-sided relationship where she relied on me like a parasite. Towards the end of our marriage, as I got to know her better, I realized that she wasn't a supportive partner. Instead, she used me to stabilize her own life. And once she no longer needed me, she discarded me like garbage. In January 2020, we flew to Oklahoma and made a down payment on a piece of land so she could be closer to her family. Construction on the house started in the months that followed. We made the decision to permanently move to Oklahoma in August 2020, leaving behind my family and friends in Pennsylvania, where I had lived for 20 years, just to make her happier. Little did I know she was cheating on me during the time the house was being built. Everything changed on December 12th, 2021. She made a mistake that raised my suspicions. While she'd been sober for 1.5 years after struggling with alcoholism, she would binge when I went to work at night. She suddenly expressed a desire to attend an AA conference in Chicago. I didn't have a problem with it and supported her. However, she forgot to bring a gift for her AA sponsor, someone she claimed was incredibly important to her. I found it strange, but it wasn't enough for me to start snooping around. A few days later, she sent me a text saying, "I'm so messed up and going through the steps again." It was unlike her to talk that way. I assumed she meant she got drunk, which didn't make sense to me. Why would she get drunk when she was supposed to be surrounded by her sponsor and other AA members? Out of curiosity, I decided to do a quick Google search to see if there was indeed an AA conference happening in Chicago that weekend. As it turned out, there wasn't any conference. It was the first time in our marriage that I felt compelled to go through her iPad. To my shock, I discovered photos of her having closeness with another man and screenshots of explicit messages he had been sending to her. I initiated the divorce process, and it was finalized in less than 2 months after I discovered the cheating. Initially, she didn't want to reveal the real reason behind our divorce and tried to downplay the infidelity. Eventually, she agreed to tell her parents. On February 1st, 2021, while she was moving out her remaining belongings, I asked if I could say goodbye to her mom, who was waiting outside. Her parents had always treated me like a son, and I had a close relationship with the extended family. When I expressed my apologies to her mom and said, "Sorry that it didn't work out between your daughter and me," her mom's response shocked me. She said, "That's okay. You were both equally responsible for this." Equally responsible? It seemed like this deceitful person, I have screenshots of her lying about her identity online, had manipulated the truth and tarnished my reputation in front of her parents. Hearing her mom's words angered me. I decided to wait until all the legal paperwork was signed before exposing the truth. She ended up paying a significant amount of money in the divorce settlement. She preferred an uncontested divorce in our state, probably because she didn't want to face the judge and discuss her infidelity. As part of the settlement, I kept the fully furnished house and 70% of its equity. I also retained the newer car that was already paid off. Additionally, I kept the money I had been setting aside from my paychecks for my parents' retirement, and she had previously agreed to it. When she complained about the division of house equity, I made it clear that I wouldn't negotiate. I told her to hire a lawyer because we would go to court to contest it, but she chose not to. On March 7th, 2021, I sent a detailed 9-page email exposing her cheating to her immediate and extended family, excluding her innocent grandmother from reading the explicit content. Furthermore, I reached out to her manager at work and revealed her infidelity. I even contacted the CEO of her company and shared the same information. 5 days later, there was a knock on my door, and when I opened it, a sheriff was standing there holding some papers. I was served with a restraining order accusing me of offense and stalking. In an attempt to strengthen her case, she lied and claimed that I had also offended her. She even requested the judge to order me to attend a domestic issues program. It's important to note that I've never raised my voice or laid a hand on this woman, even after what she did to me. In her statement, she falsely stated that I never allowed her to leave the house alone, which is untrue, that I forced her to work from home to control her, another lie, that I dictated her makeup and hairstyle choices, also false, that I mistreated our cats, seriously what, and that I made posts on this subreddit suggesting that women in other countries are imprisoned. The truth is, I made a post stating that cheaters, not women, are the ones punished for infidelity, with fines or even imprisonment in some other countries. She intentionally altered my words, substituting cheaters with women in an attempt to portray me as a monster. The look on her face was priceless when I presented that evidence in court, and my lawyer had her read it aloud. After numerous delays, the restraining order hearing finally took place 6 months later. She looked absolutely terrible when she walked in. Those 6 months had not been kind to her. It seemed like she had gained even more weight. She was already overweight. Her stomach fat was still visible despite her attempts to conceal it. She tried to hide her acne scars with makeup, but it looked so poorly done, like a kabuki mask. Apparently, my email caused a lot of problems within her family, of course. She took no responsibility for it, and instead blamed me in the courtroom for sending it. The whole hearing didn't even last 10 minutes. She didn't provide any evidence to support her claims. On the other hand, I had a ton of evidence that disproved every single one of her accusations, although I only needed to present one. I had months and months of credit card statements showing that she was going to various stores, restaurants, cafes, etc. while I was at work. I also had photos of us together, where she had different hairstyles and makeup. At one point, the judge simply turned to her and asked, "Do you have any evidence to back up what you're claiming? Any witnesses who can support your side?" She replied with a simple no. Her case was dismissed because she couldn't provide any evidence. The only reason I haven't filed charges against her for falsely accusing me of offense is that I don't want to get stuck in another long legal battle with her. In the courtroom, she tried to make it seem like I was obsessed with her. But the truth is, I moved on with my life a long time ago, and I'm much happier now than I ever was with her. Looking back, I realized I was never truly happy in that relationship. I was just content. It's ironic that cancer brought us together, but I didn't find true happiness until I removed her toxic presence from my life. If she ever tries to contact me in the future, I won't hesitate to go to the police and press charges for her false allegations of offense. Update. I turned to this forum for support since my usual support system was miles away and I felt scared to confide in my parents. On a previous Thanksgiving, my dad expressed how grateful he was to see one of his sons settled in life, with a successful career and a family. I believed that sharing my news with them would be so devastating that it could potentially land them both in the hospital. Similar to many others, in my initial post, I took the blame upon myself for her infidelity. I questioned why I wasn't a better husband, thinking that maybe if I had been, she wouldn't have sought attention elsewhere. Luckily, this group of people stepped in and collectively advised me to file for divorce. As a way of showing my gratitude for their support during difficult times, I want to provide an update on my story. And guess what? It has a happy ending. Maybe hearing about my journey of self-improvement will inspire you to embark on your own. It might even give you the courage to leave your cheating partner. Or, at the very least, it will bring a smile to your face to read about a cheater being exposed. After finding out about her infidelity, I was devastated. My self-esteem took a major hit, and I felt like I had no self-worth. In order to rebuild my self-esteem and sense of worth, I embarked on a journey of self-improvement. Setting goals and working hard to achieve them played a crucial role in regaining my self-esteem. My weight loss journey had actually started a couple of weeks before I discovered her cheating. However, her betrayal motivated me to kick it into high gear. Just a few days after D-Day, I joined a gym, and over the course of the next 11 months, I managed to lose nearly 60 pounds. Here's a photo that shows my progress. About a month after D-Day, on a whim, I decided to sign up for a marathon. Despite still being overweight and not having run a mile since my high school soccer days, I had 87 days to prepare and was determined to finish the race no matter what. And guess what? I did it. I completed the marathon in a little over 5 hours. After crossing the finish line, my confidence skyrocketed. If I can accomplish this, there's nothing I can't do when I put my mind to it. Right now, I'm on the lookout for an endurance coach to help me train for a triathlon. A few months after completing the marathon, a friend threw down the gauntlet and challenged me to try bodybuilding. It was completely out of my comfort zone to stand half naked in front of a big audience, alongside competitors who had much more experience than me, and face judgment. But I decided to embrace the challenge. With only 16 weeks to prepare, I knew I needed professional guidance. So I hired a personal trainer. My physical transformation since D-Day, culminating in stepping on a bodybuilding stage and winning a medal. At this point, I'm looking and feeling fantastic. My self-esteem is off the charts, and I exude confidence. Currently, I'm training for another competition in June and one more in October 2023. I've even made a bet that I'll take first place in my category in October. This year, I've been intentionally pushing myself to step outside of my comfort zone. Even though I've been a registered nurse for 10 years, primarily working with adults, an unexpected chance came up to work with children. It's a major departure from what I'm used to. Dealing with health issues, medications, and communication is completely different when it comes to kids. Despite the challenges, I eagerly embrace the opportunity, and I've absolutely fallen in love with it. These days, I'm employed at a children's psychiatric hospital where we provide critical support for kids aged 5 to 17. Since my divorce, I've been able to significantly increase my income in the first year. Now, my goal for 2023 is to bring in $200K. Recently, I embarked on an incredible adventure with my best friend, a 5,000-mile road trip through 10 different states, spanning over 7 days, all the way to Montana. Even though I had always wanted to visit Montana during my marriage, I never took the initiative to make it happen. But this time, we went for it, and it was an absolute blast. The highlight of the trip was going on a fishing charter, and each of us catching a lake trout that was over 29 inches long. We then cooked it up at our cozy lakeside cabin. It was truly memorable. In 2023, my goal is to visit several more states on my Visit Every State in the U.S. bucket list. I plan to explore Alaska, the Pacific Northwest, and the southeastern states. This year, I've made a conscious effort to prioritize my health and well-being by investing more time and money than I have in the past decade while I was married to her. I went to 3 individual therapy sessions, and during the 4th session I only needed 15 minutes because I didn't have any past issues to discuss. I wanted to focus on the future instead. It reminds me of what Wayne Gretzky once said about anticipating where the puck is going, not where it has been. The therapist felt that I didn't require any more sessions because I was doing remarkably well. I had fully recovered at that point. I no longer had any triggers. I used to have a recurring nightmare where they would both laugh at me, the clueless husband. But those nightmares stopped when she falsely accused me of offense in the restraining order. That's when I realized that she didn't care about me at all. So why should I care about her? Interestingly, her birthday falls 9 days before mine, and this year I completely forgot about it. On D-Day, or as my friend calls it, Liberation Day, I went out to celebrate. When it came to my love life, I decided to wait until the restraining order case against me was resolved before pursuing any romantic interests. Unfortunately, my first attempt didn't go so well. I asked a female coworker in her 40s out on a date, and she responded with a vague, "I'll think about it and let you know." Ouch! In my book, if it's not an enthusiastic yes, it's a no. A friend recommended the Hinge dating app to me, and I had much better luck there. I got a lot of matches. I went on a date with a woman who was 38 years old. I should mention that it had been a decade since I last courted a woman. Back then, we were exchanging love letters through snail mail. But with this woman, we hit it off really well while messaging each other. And then, just a couple of hours before the date, something special happened. I told her that I had everything covered and didn't want her to worry about paying for anything. I also mentioned that I would hold the door for her wherever we went. Well, she didn't appreciate that. She said, "You should have mentioned that in your dating profile. It's 2022, and most women don't need a man to pay for them or hold doors for them." Before that, I had asked her about her boundaries regarding holding hands, hugging, and kissing on the first date. She said she would only feel comfortable holding hands on the first date. I jokingly replied, "Okay, it will be like an Amish date, like going out with my sister." Needless to say, things got tense a few hours before we were supposed to meet up. I asked if she wanted to cancel, and I made it clear that there would be no hard feelings if she did. But she responded, "No, I'm intrigued by you." I could have canceled too, but to be honest, I wanted to see how much of a disaster the date would turn out to be. I pictured our dinner to be like the one in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, followed by their attempts to end each other. But when we actually met up, we had a great time. We had a drink, took a private Latin dance class, and had dinner together without any tense moments or awkwardness. During dinner, I told her that even though I had a great time and found her attractive, I didn't see the relationship progressing beyond the first date. Despite getting along well that night, I believed our personalities would clash in the future. I walked her to her car, and she couldn't stop complimenting me the whole time. We shared a long, lingering hug before saying goodbye. When I got home, she texted me saying, "It seemed like you wanted to kiss me all night." I replied saying that I did, but I respected her boundaries. She responded, "Maybe I should have kissed you back then." So I invited her to come over to my place the following night to cook dinner together. She agreed and came over. Within 24 hours, we were getting intimate in my bed. She expressed that she wanted us to have a casual dating arrangement, which suited me perfectly. It allowed me to focus on my other goals without any pressure. However, I ended things with her a few days later because she showed me disrespect. After the way my ex-wife treated me towards the end of our marriage, I made a promise to myself that I would never tolerate disrespect from another woman. If I had started dating immediately after my divorce, I might have put up with a lot of nonsense because my self-esteem was severely damaged at that time, but then I met my current girlfriend. I matched with a stunning Latina, 33F, who not only appreciated chivalry but welcomed it. In our conversations, she would say things like, "It would be an honor to go on a date with you." No woman has ever made me feel this way before. From the very beginning, she has been nothing but supportive and uplifting, unlike my ex, who was always critical. When we met, she greeted me with a warm hug. She held my hand even in the parking lot, and I opened the car door for her throughout the night. While we were at the bar, she playfully touched my arm and shoulder while we laughed together. we decided to go dancing. And even though she was much more experienced than me, I have 0 dancing skills and 2 left feet. It felt natural and exciting to dance with her. I didn't feel like a clumsy robot on the dance floor like I did on my first date with the other woman. Our bodies moved together effortlessly, and she even kissed my neck as we danced the merengues. At one point, the dance instructor left the room to let us have our own moment. It was so much fun! After dinner, I took her to my employee party because I knew she loved to dance. I slipped the DJ a $20 bill and asked him to play her favorite song. We hit the dance floor while everyone watched us. She had the biggest smile on her face and was all over me like a cat in heat. And by the end of the night, she broke her own rule and we ended up French kissing. 3 days later, she came over to my place and we've been together every day since. We both deleted our dating apps after our second date and decided to be in an exclusive relationship. It's amazing how we come from different parts of the world, but our cultures align so well. I never expected to find someone like her this quickly. I thought I would date around before settling down. But when a beautiful redhead from Hinge matched with me, I didn't even feel the need to open her message. I knew deep down that my heart was set on pursuing this wonderful woman I'm with now. What a roller coaster of a year it's been. It started off on a terrible note, but now it's wrapping up with the most incredible high. And the best part is, I feel like I've only just begun. As a culmination of my success, I commissioned an artist to create a painting called Rebirth of a Man for me. I shared my story with him back in January 2022, explaining my journey towards self-improvement and my vision for the future. This painting is his interpretation of it all. I didn't have any expectations going in, but he completely exceeded them. He delivered the painting to me right after my bodybuilding show, which felt so fitting. I really hope my story can inspire and help many of you out there. I know how scary it is to leave a cheating partner because I've been through it myself. I even considered reconciliation at one point before finally deciding on divorce. But let me tell you, there's a whole exciting world waiting for you beyond the confines of your current relationship. You'll meet someone who will show you what a healthy relationship truly looks like. It wasn't until I met my current girlfriend that I realized I was never truly happy with the person I was married to before. I may have been content, but I was never truly happy.